Julien, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You need little introduction, but Julien recently joined 20VC as a general partner, and he has a wealth of experience in tech, both as an investor and, of course, also as an operator. You were at Microsoft, you were at Facebook. Yep. You have been an investor in some of the most exciting French AI startups, including Nabla. So very excited to get your thoughts today on the tech ecosystem. Awesome. Let's dive in. You have recently argued that Europe is moving faster than many pundits admit.
Yeah.
And cheerleading aside, I'm curious, one metric or data point that you look at that gives you conviction that Europe has generally entered this kind of upward breakout?
It's not so much one metric, it's a series of anecdotes and things we are starting to see in Europe, and in France in particular, that we never saw before. So just for us, at 20VC, I work with the seed and pre-seed funds, so we try to invest as early as possible in amazing founders, and the caliber and the quality of the people we see is just at an all-time high. People who've worked at Stripe for a few years, people who worked at Facebook, people who had 1 or 2 exits before, people who've seen the movie, doing their second, sometimes third company, which is great. But also we see companies like DeepL, 11 Labs, Lovable, Nabla, going from 0 to 10, from 10 to 50 in just 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. We did not have that. So that diaspora of talents, access to capital that is almost unlimited, plus the experience and the whole value chain from angel, incubators, seed funds to growth fund, all in Europe right now, it's a reason to be hopeful.
Truly remarkable. I got to have lunch today with about 60 French founders, including some that you have invested in. And just before this was meeting with Dust, which is a couple of Stripes are in their founder group. So really,
and OpenAI. But that's a very good example.
Yep.
One from Stripe, one from OpenAI.
Yep.
Coming back to France to start a business there, like it's a dream come true for an investor.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the young founders. So Project Europe is backing founders under 25 with, I think it's 200,000 euro and 6.66% equity. I'm curious, what problem are you trying to solve with that?
It's both for inspiration. We want people to be exposed to amazing founders, which is what we do with Project Europe. We funded it ourselves with our friends from Point 9 and adjacent, but we also brought 150 entrepreneurs, people who really made it big in tech in Europe, and we connect them with students, people who are between 16 and 25, who do want to start a business, but they need a role model. Sometimes they don't know where to start. Sometimes they live in countries where the ecosystem of angels or VC is not very sophisticated. So we're just trying to fill that gap. So it's about the money a bit, but more importantly, the entourage, the inspiration that we provide with access to these founders. And you would not believe the quality of the stuff we see. Like we see people in neuroscience, cybersecurity, robotics, AI, of course, kids who are 18 years old who want to change the world, obsessed by the problem they're going after, but they just don't know where to find some money. So that's why we created it.
It's hyper consistent. I did some back channels on you, and the founders that work with you say how much they value that you're truly an operator, right? That the steers you give them are deeply rooted in decades of experience in tech. So I love that you are scaling that operator view and bringing along that entourage.
It's a very nice way to say I'm old.
Decades in a good way. You talked about teens able to do amazing things. Certainly, we all know Bill Gates and Zuck, and actually even Patrick and John. Why do you think there are fewer teen founders today?
I think they need role models. They need inspiration. I think everybody realizes, especially with what's happening with AI and the whole new world of software we live in, that they can start something, they can build something amazing from scratch with AI in just a few hours or a few days and make a living from it. But I think they just need role models, and we don't share these stories enough. I'm sure many people don't know that the founders of Stripe started the company where they were, they're very young. Same thing for Facebook. So the storytelling in Europe, I wouldn't say in France in particular, needs to be pushed, I think, a bit more. People don't know these stories, or sometimes it's in English only. So if you're a kid in Ukraine, maybe you don't know about these guys and how they made it and how you also could make it.
I want to come back to Ukraine in a bit. In your 2005 Kelku book, you chronicled a very different era of French tech. And I'm curious, if you were to write a bit of an epilogue, maybe a couple sentence, 1 paragraph epilogue today, what would you add?
I thought about it. I thought about writing the sequel to the book, and actually what's fascinating is to see what happened to the people who built or contributed to the building of Kelku. And Kelku was, for people who were there in 1999 or 2000, it was a French company, a shopbot that got acquired by Yahoo for $500 million. It was a very profitable company. They acquired a bunch of companies across Europe, and it was the first big internet acquisition after the nuclear winter of the internet bubble who exploded in 2000. And so I wanted to tell that story, but if you look what happened to the main people who worked at Kelku, who created Kelku, you see them in some of the most amazing companies that we have today. For example, Dominique Vidal was the co-founder and CFO of Kelku. Then he became a VC at Index. First company he backs at Index is Criteo. He helps Criteo to pivot to the advertising model. They go public. And the founder of Criteo, after Criteo, becomes the founder of Pigment, which is one of the fastest growing companies we have there and in Europe. So you see the impact of having one success story, of having that diaspora. Many, many years later, most of them became angels. Some of them started something again, like Pierre Chapaz. After Kelku, he started Teads, that he sold for a fortune to, I think, Drahi, Altis and Patrick Drahi. So it shows something that you've had in the Silicon Valley forever, for many generations, but it shows the impact of having one success story that creates a generation of talents who can invest, who can start something new, and help the rest of the ecosystem. So that's what we need more of, but this is also what we start to see more and more in Europe.
So not an epilogue, but a full sequel.
Full sequel.
Full sequel. We're ready for it.
Maybe a movie.
Yeah. We'll tell Ashley Vance. From your vantage point as both an investor and also an operator, where do you think the French ecosystem really outperforms broader Europe? And where is the hype perhaps a bit ahead of the substance?
I think we're probably the best. I'm going to be humble there.
Full stop. He just leaves it there.
No, we're amazing at training the top 0.1% of technical talents. Whether it's people who go to École Normale Supérieure, Polytechnique, or people who just learn on their own, hacker style, how to develop software, I think we have extraordinary developers. What we did not have back then was the ability to distribute and market these products. So that's why you see a lot of great French companies with amazing products, poorly distributed. I think with the new world of software, we live in product-led growth, AI, Stripe, and all of that. It's easier than ever to distribute software everywhere. But I think it's still a skill set we need to develop. When you see a French entrepreneur pitching, usually you don't tell yourself you've met Sheryl Sandberg or Mark Benioff. You've met fantastic scientists or developers, but we need that ability to show up, to excite people, and to sell a vision, to sell the big picture to people who need to be convinced. But that's a skill set we really never had. I think Bernard Liotto was the first to do it properly when he started and listed the business object, but I think we're working on it. But it gives me hope because we have great products, we just have to be good at distributing them. Mm-hmm. I would not want to have the opposite problem. Yeah.
Speaking of being great at distribution and many things, Sam Altman has talked about kind of the one employee unicorn, right? Sort of there's enough infrastructure and functionality, including with AI, lifting all boats that one employee can actually build a giant company. If this actually happens, how does venture capital need to reinvent itself?
I think that's why I do seed and pre-seed, because I want to get as fast as possible into these companies who might never raise money ever again. And we've seen that in gaming. We know many gaming companies that have been completely self-funded, bootstrapped, and who became, unicorns and more. So that model that we saw in gaming is happening in SaaS right now. I think we'll have to adjust. Some of them will want to accelerate maybe the growth, will want to open offices, will want to go global, and we'll need more developers. But I do believe that we'll start to see that more and more. Maybe not, billion-dollar businesses, but fantastic businesses, profitable businesses, global businesses with a team of 1 or 2 or 3 people. Thanks to AI, but also thanks to the fact that building software costs nothing, distributing software costs nothing. Facebook ads and Instagram ads and TikTok ads really work. And monetizing software has never been easier. So it's an opportunity for people who can build great products and who can use the latest tricks, including AI, to distribute them and monetize them. That gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, do you think this world will benefit more operator VCs and that dumb money will have a harder time if...
That's my bet. It needs to work. I don't know. I mean, if you look in the US, the best VCs are former operators. If you look at the benchmark, the Kleiner Perkins, the USV, Sequoia, you see a bunch of people who worked at great companies or started great companies. It's a bit different in Europe. To be fair, the best VCs in Europe are born VCs. That's what they've done most of their life, so they are bankers. So I think that trend is changing. I think you'll see more and more operators, but more importantly, entrepreneurs becoming investors. And I think it helps to connect with founders. It helps to try and modestly be helpful. But it's also changing. We also see all of that smart money from the US coming to Europe. I mean, Sequoia had nothing in Europe 5 years ago. Now they have an amazing office. We saw IVP coming in as well, NEA as well. So people realize that you can find amazing companies and talents in Europe.
You've written about us entering the Flappy Bird era of SaaS.
Yeah.
So, AI native teams can hit 40 million or even 100 million in ARR with 25 people teams, but then they can face these kind of insta-clones. And so I'm curious, what are the durable moats that founders should be focused on building, given that any clever wrapper can potentially be replicated overnight?
I mean, this is something that Stripe has done extremely well, which is building a brand that people love, a brand that people trust. Of course, a great product that does the job better, faster than anything else. And when you have that, if you can build a community around it, almost a cult among developers and users, this is, I think, how you can build a moat. And again, it's not a skill set we usually have, especially in Europe, but I think it's changing. Look at Lovable. Do you guys know Lovable? They went from $0 to $50 million in no time. Everybody knows the brand. They have 50 competitors, but people keep going back to Lovable because they trust them. They do a great job stimulating, fostering, managing that community of developers. And so that's why they keep winning. But when you see these companies going from 0 to 10 in 24 hours, it also means that someone else could come and do something better, cheaper, faster in no time. So the brand, the quality of the documentation or the support, if you're in a platform company, can make a massive difference. There's a big premium to being able to build that community and that cult.
Whoever named Lovable was brilliant. If you want to be loved, just call yourself lovable.
I'm jealous.
Full stop.
Yeah.
So AI systems are becoming semi-autonomous. I'm curious what you think the most valuable human skill that developers need to have and hone is in order for them to stay indispensable.
I would say it's being able to build a community, create that developer love in the ecosystem, especially if you're building a platform or if you want to build a platform company, but not just build a great product, but also build a great brand and a great community of people who love it, who use it, who pay for it, who recommend it to their friends. This is when you can do that all at the same time, which of course is extremely hard. I think you can start to dream very big. But it's not easy when you come from a developer background.
Do you think the machine will manage the developer, or will it stay the other way around?
No, when people started talking about AI, people talked about the Terminator Skynet scenario where the machine replaces the human. The movie I prefer to think of is Star Wars and R2-D2. So R2-D2, as you know, is helping Luke to make the right decision. The robot is sharing important information with Luke, but at the end of the day, it's Luke Skywalker who makes the decisions and who ends up, shooting the Death Star. So I think of AI as a robot on your side that can help you to remove blind spots, to make better, faster decisions, but that cannot replace you. That's my optimistic vision of the future of AI.
I was talking to Scott Wu, the co-founder of Cognition, about how they use Devin, their agent, internally, and he told me every engineer, there aren't that many engineers there, 15 or something. Every engineer at Cognition has 15 Devins working for them at the average moment in time.
Yeah.
If all of us could be 15x more productive, that would be
Would love to.
quite something. Satya Nadella recently proclaimed that SaaS is dead. You've argued instead that we're heading towards a new SaaS revolution, in particular for frontline workers who've historically been largely underserved. How should those of us in this room reconcile those two perspectives?
Well, I've been obsessed by frontline SaaS for a while. When I was at Facebook, I created a business called Workplace that is like Facebook for Work, or it's an internal communication platform that we thought only tech companies would use. The surprise we had is that the people who are buying Workplace were companies like Walmart, Starbucks, Heineken, Club Med, Danone, companies with a lot of frontline employees and a lot of knowledge workers. And so I discovered by accident completely that market, which is the blue-collar / frontline SaaS market. So people who go to work every day, they don't have a desk, they don't have a PC, they don't have an email. And yet, just like you and me, they want to use software, they want to be augmented by AI. And so I think, SaaS is just getting started for these people. Again, they don't have an email because it's too expensive. But AI can do amazing things for them. Think, shift management, inventory management, PTO management, and all of that. So I think there is that blue ocean market of 2.5 billion people that have yet to be augmented and revolutionized by software. So I don't think he means SaaS is dead, especially because he runs the biggest SaaS company in the world. But I think there will be many opportunities in the most unexpected places and the most unexpected markets for people who want to start businesses or invest in these businesses.
You talked a little bit earlier about some French founders having a hard time getting the full distribution and reach. And even many large European corporates still hesitate to buy local software until it's sort of, quote, impossible to get fired for, I think were the words you used. So what are the concrete changes in policy, in procurement, in incentives that need to change in order to flip that mindset?
It's hard. I'm not sure a policy change would do much. But to give you a real example, I was discussing with Eleonore Crespo. She's the CEO of Pigment. She sells big, sophisticated, complicated software, competing against Oracle, Anaplan, even Workday. And so, to give you an example, it took her 6 months to sign Coca-Cola Inc., like at the HQ. And I think she's been trying to sell to CAC 40 company for more than 2 years. And it should not be this way. It's a French company, the product is developed, and it's 10 minutes from here. If you buy it, you have access to the people building it, you have access to the CEO if you want to give feedback. You have no reason to buy software built outside of the country if you want the best and the brightest thing. But people still do it because you don't want to be fired for betting on a startup. And I think in the US, for example, Fortune 500 companies, they think of software as an investment. And there will be a return on investment. I think in Europe, and in France in particular, big companies tend to think of it as a cost. And so you have to reduce the cost to the minimum. You don't think there will be a return on investment. And so that needs to change. And I think, if anything, we need to highlight and encourage people who do make this bet to buy local software and make them look good. Surprisingly, French SMBs buy more local software than the big companies.
That's fascinating.
Because they just want something that works. They don't care, where it's coming from. They just want something that works. And so, if you have a local provider doing a good job at reaching out the long tail of SMBs with a great product, that's enough. They give people a chance. Big companies in France, again, you don't get fired for going IBM. And that's still a problem.
The reputational bit is super interesting because in the US, I think in some cases it's actually the reverse, which is if you're at a large enterprise and you're not adopting cutting edge technology and you're, say, sitting in the IT organization, you risk being stamped as sort of a Luddite, right? And so that cultural shift is striking. Everyone loves to hate Meta, but they've been particularly impressive in their ability to be kind of constantly at the frontier of tech. And in some cases, it's worked out, like mobile and AI, and in other cases, less so, like Libra and Metaverse. But you've lived through those pivots from the inside. And so I'm curious, what are the lessons from Meta that you think established companies need to remember?
It's hard because Meta is quite a unique company, just because of the way it is run by the founder who's still there, who controls everything. And as you've seen, sometimes he makes big bets. That can work. Mobile is a good example, but I remember when Facebook pivoted to mobile in 2012, people were still shorting Facebook. People did not understand that Facebook was doing it, so we had the hardest time telling the market, we know mobile is coming, we're doing all the right things, it will take time. And then after the IPO, every 3 months at the earnings call, you would see the market share of mobile versus web going up. And so, and next thing you know, in 2014, 2015, Facebook was a mobile first, almost mobile only now company. But sometimes they get it wrong. Like, I don't think the metaverse was a great investment, but some of the investments they've done in the metaverse helped Meta to build the AI infrastructure that they have. So having a founder that is build big long-term goals with the right people internally, I think can make a difference. But you know that very well, but Meta has not always been right in the choices they've made, but they've been resilient. And when Zuck goes big, it really goes big, like he's doing right now on AI. And so it's very inspiring to watch. Even when it doesn't work, you learn from it. I've launched more stuff that failed very publicly at Facebook than stuff that worked.
But the conviction is striking.
Yeah, I can give you a story if you want.
I want to hear the story.
In 2012, I thought the future of the Facebook platform was gambling on the Facebook platform. So I convinced Cheryl and the gang to basically let me launch Bingo, real money gaming, on the Facebook platform, on the web. We launched, made a lot of noise. There is an article of me in the FT talking about the future of gaming on Facebook being bingo and slot machines. And, and after a month, we made like 200 euros. And we killed it. But I had the license to try. It was a big, very rapid failure. Thankfully, it was not too long. And we learned from it. And so when you have a license to try new stuff like that, you feel great as an employee and I think as a shareholder as well.
Will you entertain a quick rapid-fire closing?
Let's do it.
OK. Most underrated city to start a company in 2025?
Montpellier.
Montpellier?
Yeah.
Oh, I was an exchange student there for a hot second. OK, what's the company? Sorry, it's supposed to be rapid-fire, but I got to know.
Montpellier, it's home. It's in the south. It's sunny. You're very close to the Mediterranean beach. And you have some great companies there, like Septeo or Swile.
Amazing.
And it's 3 hours and 30 minutes from Paris.
Perfect.
Good airport as well. You wanted some surprises.
I love it. One European regulation that you'd scrap tomorrow?
Probably regulations around stock options and RSUs in Europe. It's a mess. It changes. It depends if you're in France or in Germany. It's a nightmare. We have to make it very easy to align the interest of the employees with the interest of the shareholders.
One French regulation that you would scale globally?
I would say the tech visa and the immigration policy. It's very easy to bring top talents in France. It's not that easy in the UK, for example. And in the US, we don't even know if it will be possible to go and work there anymore. But that's an opportunity for Europe. That's a massive opportunity for Europe.
Your favorite under-the-radar side project?
It's a thing. It's a side project I'm doing at 20VC. It's a company I'm incubating. That I will talk about in a few months. But that's keeping me busy. So we're not just investing in companies, we're also incubating projects now.
Fascinating. OK, this is going to be a start, bench, sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, OK, but tech edition?
Go ahead.
All right, Steve Ballmer, Mark Zuckerberg, Xavier Niel.
It's impossible to answer that question.
Okay.
I love them all. They're very different. I mean,
they're very lovable.
If you start a company, you need the three of them. You have the sales guy, obviously, you know who it is. You have the CTO and the CPO. And one of them could be the CEO. But no, I worked for all of them. I worked with Xavier Niel at some boards. But all of the things we're discussing right now, the fact that we can do this and that there is such a vibrant ecosystem in France is because of everything Xavier Niel has done for the last 15 years. You see his DNA, his fingerprints on every company that is doing very well in France right now, and he built not just the funds and the Station F to do it, but just the infrastructure to accelerate and to empower that new generation. So I would say I would choose Xavier Niel.
Last one, and I know you live between the two, Paris or London?
Paris for vacation, London for work.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Julien, for such sharp and grounded insights and for reminding us that software is a bet on optimism and conviction. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you.